West Coast Davengers. West Coast Davengers.
Welcome, everybody, to the West Coast Avengers.
I just got closer. That was like a cool zoom in. That was like a movie, like.
Yeah, we got you really close in. Welcome to the West Coast Avengers 1 year anniversary live stream with me and Dave and Dave. Hi, Dave.
Hey, how's it going, Dave?
Yeah, if you don't know who this is, that means you probably never watched the show before. So what are you doing here? But this is Dave Correa. He's an artist. He's a friend, but more so, he's a Davenger.
To be fair, I haven't really been on the show too many times in a long time. I remember we did a couple early on, but not so much recently.
But yes, that is true. You have been featured in such gag bits, also as this.
I had a genie that would just sort this entire room, and I can get to shooting videos and doing claim sales if I just snap my finger, you know? Room, and I can
What the hell? Where am I? Did you just snap me into existence? Hey! Is this the new West Coast Avengers headquarters? This is looking good, man. I see a spot where I can crash on your couch. Great spot to film over there while I'm in your room just floating around.
All right. So yes, we remember you've been on the show, but
I think I've gotten grayer in these last 6 months.
Oh, me too.
It's happening at a very rapid pace now. It's not like every few months a couple grays hair. It's like every few months it's like exponentially, more gray.
Right.
So I'm okay with that.
Well, it's okay. It happened with the hair for me. It didn't go gray. It just fell out, and then I was just like, you know what? Just shave it. But
yeah.
So I don't, there was no real format for this, but I thought we could talk about the beginnings of the West Coast Avengers, which is like what we came up with. We took a road trip. It was last May or May 2021 or May 2020? It was May 2021.
I think it was May. Yeah, that was our first road trip together. You and I gotten back into comics. I mean, I got back into comics a couple of years ago, but I was just reading iPad stuff, and then I got back into physically collecting around the same time, and we both kind of had this epiphany. It was oh, to find these comics, you gotta go to flea markets and antique malls and stuff like that. That's how you find all the cool ones,
Yeah.
So we made this road trip to kind of go do all of that, which I thought was super fun. It was just fun to I mean, how many comic book stores we go to on that trip?
I mean, we probably went to 15, with a chunk of it being in the Bay Area. And then actually we just went to Bronze Age Batcave in the Bay Area, but there was a chunk in the Seattle area that we went to. And it's funny because I remember a couple years before that, we talked about just doing a road trip to go to antique stores just to find stuff. It wasn't centered around comics. And, over the years, as we never got to do it, and then we both kind of got into collecting physical comics again, it was we're just going to look for comics.
Yeah, I always thought it was impressive how you would go to a flea market and you grab a handful of pins, and then you would you a buck or two each, and then you'd sell them for 30 or 40 bucks. I'm just that's pretty neat. I thought that was kind of interesting. And then we kind of parlayed that into comic books. It's if we can get these kind of cool books for cheap and then sell it, and then it can kind of fund our comic adventures. It can fund our trip. It can fund buying bigger and cooler books that we want to keep for ourselves. So it's just I tell my dad about all this, and he's oh, you're playing with house money. I'm yeah, it's that's a good way.
Yeah. But
so,
that's funny because I didn't have an intention at the beginning in our first road trip to start this as a business. It was we started the account just kind of show off the fun things that we found, and then life happened, and I quit my job, and I was you know what, I'm done working for people. But it was always kind of the heart of it was what crazy books could we find at a super low price just by going to all these places and persisting and stuff. Hey, Jim Healy is in the room. Jim. Oh, there we go. Jim. We're gonna be seeing you next month, Jim. So
Dave number 2. I'm like Dave Poop.
Dave Poop. Yeah, not exactly, but I get it. You are the number, but to me, like, that's the funny thing is, like, you're not part of the selling side of this, but, like, to me, you're always going to be 50% of this because, like, that's where it started, and Hobie Supreme, Scotty Massage, Body McKean, hello. So yeah, we did that road trip, and then do you remember, like, what big books we got? Or, like, I remember the one big book that you got in was like that antique mall in Albany, Oregon.
Right. The one big book I found on that trip was a Tales of Suspense, or I think it was Tales to Astonish. It was what's considered like the Doctor Doom prototype book.
Right.
I want to say it was like 30-something, number 30-something. And I wasn't even really aware of that book until like a week or two before. My buddy Patrick had it. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, and then what it is like it was Jack Kirby who drew this character called, I think, the Man in the Mask, or something about the Man in the Iron Mask. And if you look at it, it looks just like Doctor Doom. And
yeah, it does.
It came out, like, I think a month before that Fantastic Four book with Doom in it. And I just remember thinking about, like, oh, it's so cool that, like, you have like these writers and artists who are working on tons of books at the time. I mean, Jack Kirby was just doing everything, right? So, like, he's like writing and making stuff for Tales to Astonish and like Tales to Suspense, all these things like that. And he's just like trying out designs, things that might stick, things that might not. And then, like, he like probably like really liked that design. He's like, oh, I'm going to use this somewhere else. And, like, as an artist myself, like an illustrator, like, I've done that so many times. Like, I'll do a sketch, it doesn't work, I'll put it away, but I'll revisit it later and make it work in some capacity. And I felt like that was just a cool, like, the prototype books are just like really interesting to me because of that.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, as time went on in Marvel Comics, even though they were creating new characters, the prototype things just never really happened again. It was just the beginning. It was those, first, Silver Age books had some prototype stuff in the earlier Silver Age or the late Golden Age.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I remember, we went to that antique mall in Albany. We hit like a bunch of places in that town, and that's when I finally found the McFarlane poster book that I had been hunting, that I had when I was a kid.
Like a week before too. We were at
I know,
and it was really expensive, and you're like, man, I want to get this book, and you're like, I'll be patient, I'll find it. And I think that's like the premise of what we do is, like, be patient and you'll find it. Like, that's how we are, and like that's what you did. Like, you're like, you waited and you found it for like a really good deal,
Yeah, and it's just and so that was our first road trip. And then our second one must have been, I guess, like late summer, early fall. It was October, I think.
That's right.
And that's when, or no, it was before October. I was down in September, so it must have been in September. Or maybe that was just a trip. Anyway.
No, we did it. I remember we did it like around Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, that's right. We did. So, but there was something in between, or it was the first road trip where, I created the Instagram and we, came up with the name and all that. And you said to me, is like, if you want to do this, as a business to sell these books, you're like, you've got to put all in. You've got to post all the time. You've got to be present. You always got to be coming up with content, because, like, that's how you grow a business these days. And, and that's and then fast forward to September. I was down in the Bay Area, and I just shot like a couple of pre-YouTube videos, and you're like, wait, you were giving me advice on how to do it. And then September I was down there, and that's what it was. I was there for just a weekend, going to flea markets in the Bay Area, because it's 365 365 days a year. We shot the first YouTube video a year ago. It was like September 10th or something like that.
Was that the first one we shot? Was it here?
Yeah, it was in your studio.
Was it the one that we went through all of our books and stuff?
Yeah, it's the one where I went through all my books that I'd gotten like Game Shop downstairs and
Oh, right,
stuff.
right.
And so I didn't know what I was doing, but you would design a logo for me. And the first episode, actually, I sang the West Coast Davengers, but like I didn't put much into it.
To be
And
fair, you sing everything, so I
it's
think
true.
every most sentences you sing. So I think that like it was a natural progression and that you made the song.
It's true. It is very true. But like that was the genesis of it. Was like, like it just went from a road trip to me coming down there and us digging around, going to flea markets. We went to a garage sale. That was that one. I think that weekend is when we went to that crazy garage sale where it's just a bunch of Silver Age stuff. And
Mm.
but yeah, it's like, and then it's just it blossomed from there. It would be like text every weekend, like, "Oh, what'd you find this weekend?" And then you tell me what you found, and it's like, I didn't get insanely jealous of your finds. I got insanely jealous of the fact that like you live in a place where you can garage sale and flea market every weekend,
Yeah,
every 52 weekends.
that's the good thing about the Bay Area is like there's no shortage of like flea markets and garage sales, and like the weather, like you said, like it doesn't rain here that often, so it's always going on. I mean, you can catch a flea market every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So you just got to kind of like figure out which ones you're going to go to and hit them up.
Well, we just got our first question. You might know Dan C. I think maybe you grew up with him.
I do, yeah. I know him a little bit.
Well, top 3 comic moments of the year. Wow. Well, I think I just hit my number 2. I hit my number 2. Number 1 easily is pulling the Amazing Spider-Man 129 out of that box.
Mm.
And I'll show my number 2, and then you tell me a couple of yours. My number 2 just came this weekend. I got an Albedo number 2.
Damn.
The first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo. It's you can see the got a couple ticks on the side. I think it's a 6.0 easy, maybe even better with a press. I got a chance to take a look at a collection and this weekend, and as I was looking through it, it was 22 long boxes, and I hit a stack of Albedos, but this wasn't in there, and I just looked at the guy. I was like, "So, did you get in? Is there an Albedo too?" And it was like I ripped the ghost out of his body. He's like, "How'd you know?" And so he brought it in, and long story short, I ended up buying 5 long boxes in this, and if it comes back at 6.0, it's a $6,000 comic.
Are you gonna get graded?
Yeah. This is something you don't mess around with. You don't leave it raw just because, like, you got to take these high value comics and then really put the market value on them. And I'm not intending on selling it, but I also think it would look nice encased in a slab.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you have any one of your top moments of the year?
For this year so far, I haven't gone out comic hunting that much in the last like few months because I go to Comic Con and I'm a full-time like artist illustrator. So like I have like just these crazy panic modes where I just have to work the entire time. So I haven't done much hunting lately, but one of my favorite finds this year was I was able to get a Vault of Horror. It's an EC comic pre-code. It's Vault of Horror number 31. I've never, ever seen one of these like in the wild. And I've always I'm aware of them, like I know they're like out there, but like I've never seen one, so like I can't, and this one's in really good shape. And I was able to pick it up. And what's really cool about this book, and Alex, if you're still in here, it's like 4 stories in this comic, but the main one on the cover is it's a Johnny Craig illustrated book, but it's the story is called Eas'll Kill You, and it's been adapted into a short for Tales from the Crypt. Remember the TV show Tales from the Crypt? Yeah. So one of my favorite episodes is this one with Tim Roth, and he's like an artist, and he draws with people's blood, and he sells his paintings for like tons of money. and like that's my all-time favorites from that series. And this is the story, like this cover story is that one. So like it was just kind of cool that that's the one that I found, because it's like my favorite all-time book, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Alex, that's the Tim Roth one. Yeah. So and it I want more of these EC books, but it's just like, dude, like you can't find them for cheap. I've never seen them. I've only seen this one, you know.
I haven't gotten one this year, and last year I think I got 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 different EC books, and I got
that's crazy.
And I got 4 of them graded because those are books that need to be graded to preserve it, because the paper's so brittle. You know, the 1951 through 53, like they're great books though.
Yeah,
oh
this
my
is
God.
1953, and it's in really good shape. I mean, I don't know grading, but like I'll have to show you this one next time you hear it, because it's just like it's awesome, man. It's gotta be like a mid grade, I think, you know.
Sick.
So this has gotten me really into EC books now, and I almost bought like the whole, you know, those like Russ Cochran collections.
Yeah,
the blue ones, red ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like usually like 4 books, like the volumes. I'm kind of gonna probably start getting those now, because like the art in it is just some of my favorite out there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and everybody worked on those books, and it's funny because, you know, I went to the Society of Illustrators last week in New York, which used to be the Museum of Comic, Cartoon, and Art, and they had a Angelo. Oh shit, what's his name? Not Angelo Davis. Anyway, there was a little documentary showing about one of the guys who worked in EC, and it was really informative, and it just got me more pumped up to find some EC, or, you know, Mad One would be nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, I know top 3 moments, maybe not, but how many Hulk 340s have we found combined this year?
Oh God. I mean, since we started this, I've found 4 of them. And one of them is a Mark Jewelers. That's pretty, it's like a 7 or 8. It's like a 7.5 probably grade. And yeah, that's a book that I really wanted for a long, long time. And the price, you know, this whole comic bubble, it's kind of hard to buy things at comic shops, you know, because you're like, that book, it really isn't worth that much money. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it, you know. So we found a bunch. I mean, I found 4. You probably found more than that.
I think I found 6 this year. It was Angelo Torres. Thank you, Spiders. I will get that Mark Jewelers from you one way or another. Like, I'm gonna find a book to trade you for it, and it's gonna be a book that's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because I decided. Side note, I decided, now that I've obtained every Todd McFarlane book that he ever had art published in outside of Image Comics, I said, well, okay, why don't I get every variant? That means I have to collect every Mark Jewelers of every Todd McFarlane book.
Jesus.
Luckily, there isn't a Amazing Spider-Man Amazing Spider-Man 300 Mark Jewelers does not exist.
Oh, there's not?
No, they didn't. From what I've deduced, and I will use that word, what I've deduced from my research, and the fact that I've probably obtained 600-700 Mark Jeweler variants over the course of the last year, they don't do Mark Jeweler inserts in double-sized or square-bound issues, and Amazing Spider-Man 300 is a double-sized issue.
Okay.
So it doesn't exist. Batman 423, I'm pretty sure, does not exist as a Mark Jeweler. Because they stopped doing Batman Mark Jewelers, I think, even like in the 80s. So, you know, I'll get that 340 from you. Oh, I will.
I'll give you a short list of books I'm looking for. Maybe we can figure it out. Okay. I'd rather trade something than just like sell it, because to me, like, and this, I know that you feel this too, like finding it for me is just like the best part about it. Like, I love finding these things. And like, you know, I could sell it for a couple $100, but like just a couple $100, I'll just put that back in my account and I'll just whatever it does. That to me doesn't. It's not something I can hold and show, you know.
Right.
I want a cool comic to put up, you know.
So yes, and great comics and sheep rings. Great combination of hobbies. That is true. It is true. And you know what it is? It's just, all right, Chicken McFry's spam in the chat.
Chicken McFry.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on over there, but anywho, but yes, I think I found about 5 Hulk 340s this year, all paid for, you know, less than $10 or whatever, and one of them was signed by Todd.
Yeah.
So,
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah, like the Mark Jeweler stuff, I'm never really seeking it out. Like I just happen to find them, like I wouldn't buy one at a comic book shop because that kind of thing doesn't like interest me. I'm like, oh, it's neat to have one because it's like, oh, this is a significantly smaller percentage of the run, so it's kind of find that, like, it's like, oh, it's like it makes your find a little more unique, but it's not something I'm like seeking out, and there's certain areas like where you live close to army bases where there's just more of them,
to this weekend alone 200, roughly 200 Mark Jewelers in the collection I bought, and another collection that I looked at and bought a box of. And then I was even at a comic store today buying long boxes, and I just looked through their Amazing Spider-Man bin, and there was a McFarlane, the Sandman cover. I forget what number it is, like 308 or something like that, 309. And I pull it out, and I was like, oh, that's a Mark Jeweler. I got to buy it.
Yeah.
So
sometimes in some of the older ones, you can actually look down the book and see, because it's on that thicker paper,
it's thicker. There's the line, and then if you were to hold a raw book, you can feel it just by holding a raw book.
Differ, right? And some have like the little stamp on the front, but that's like not all of them have that.
Yeah, it's a small percentage, I think, and I've talked to a couple people, but nobody knows for sure because everybody's got a different version of what they think it is. But the thing that makes sense to me, and not to go on a Mark Jeweler's tangent, but the thing that makes sense to me is that stamp. So let's say the newsstand, the military newsstand receives a bundle of books. The stamp would be the one on top. Denoted, and supposedly that stamp does denote that it went overseas. So maybe that's how they denoted, okay, we're sending these to Germany to the base, but these are for this base. Because somebody else told me that it was like, oh, it's paid, but that doesn't make any sense because, like, what are they stamping it for? Whether that it was paid.
That seems like a lot. Like, why would you stamp every
book that sells?
I could see. I think yours makes sense, like stamping the bundle on top, because like you don't see those. Whatever.
Right. But anyway, so yes, and if anybody has any questions, please throw them in the chat.
In the garbage.
Yeah, throw them in the garbage. Fuck it. So yeah. So that was the genesis of it. We started it that way. It kind of started as a fun thing, and then I just ran with it. But Dave is always, Dave is always a part of this. He's behind the scenes a part of this, always helping me out with videos and all this content and stuff. So
I like road trips. Like I have a buddy, Alex, in here and me and him will road trip any chance we get. If we're gonna go somewhere, it's like, oh, let's just drive there, and then we just like stop along the way and do all this other fun stuff. So for me, it's just like, it's just fun to like take a few days and like go up the coast. I mean,
yeah,
it's beautiful up there. So and also fun hunt for comics along the way.
There you go. Well, Paul asked, who are some of the most interesting people we've met on our hunts? Well, I mean, Robert's one of the most interesting people we've met. I mean, Robert.
Yeah, when you go to flea markets over and over, you tend to meet a lot of the same people. A lot of the same like other comic book hunters and vendors. Like, and it's interesting to see how they get their collections, why they're selling it. Some people know what they have, some people don't. Some people don't care. I always like meeting other comic book hunters who are cool. I've met quite a few. I know you have too, Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
And
so go ahead.
Oh, I was also going to say Jack. I mean, he's not a comic book guy, but Locker Nuts.
Oh yeah.
He's a real interesting dude. Dave introduced me over watching his show to Locker Nuts, and then he featured me on his show, and then I featured him on my show. So that was cool. I mean, for my part up here, Tricky. I work at a store that just once a week helping with comics, and she's a very interesting person. And then the people that I've been buying collections from. Michael is the guy I've been buying those long boxes from, who's a big Star Wars collector, and we hang out now, and it's so like, yeah. And then there's some real sketchy motherfuckers that I met too.
I've been pretty lucky. I haven't found anybody who's who's been weird. Like I know that one guy, what do you call him, the Weasel?
Yeah, the Weasel.
I've met so many comic hunters, and everyone's just been so cool because like really all we're doing is looking for comics. It's like not like, it's not like this weird thing. It's not even, I don't even see it as like a competition. Like there's so many books out there. Like everyone has so many tastes. Like the people I meet, like we'll walk in together sometimes and we'll go, oh, here's some books, and he'll go, oh, you want to look, like you just go, we each take a box, it's not like we rush to it, it's just like, and if I see some stuff that I don't want or I have doubles of, I'll pull it and give it to somebody else, and they do the same. I think that's just like it's just like a cool vibe, like I don't know, I just good time.
I'll tell one story and then we'll get to Done Messed Up's question. But I had responded to a guy on OfferUp, and at this point I was using my Google Voice number because I wasn't really super like into using my regular phone number. And I talked to him on the phone. He's like, well, I'm gonna buy everything. Anyway, I went to his house, and I've never been inside of a serial killer hoarder house until this point. And like you walk in and it's just piles of stuff everywhere. And like I looked through a couple of bins of comics and there was nothing good. And the guy wanted like $4,000. And I was just like, all right, man, no, I'm sorry to waste your time. And I literally like rushed out of there. It was just
walking to
disgusting.
Buffalo Bill's house. And
yeah, skin suit. Become a skin suit.
Yeah. Tell your friends where you are. Like, hey, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, this is the address I'm at.
Yeah. All right. So my buddy Bryce, who did the theme song, my boy, he asked, you have to sell every book in your PC but one. What are you keeping?
I mean, it's probably going to be a nostalgic book that I really liked when I was a kid, because there's certain books I just kind of go back to and like redisplay in my little shelf. And I always love like the Wolverine stuff. And my favorite series was Weapon X growing up. So probably one of those, like that's like that era, like those books are just like my favorite. Like, this isn't like a value thing. This is just like, it's a nostalgic thing, and like, it's the art that I used to draw. I would redraw Weapon X. If you look at my old like Weapon X books, you can see like the tracing lines on it. Cause like I would just redraw, I would draw over and over. And that's like, like it's how I learned like anatomy in my own pieces and stuff too. So for me, like that Weapon X, I'll call it one book because it's that kind of series is probably like my all-time favorite. That book I just bought because I'm super high on that right now.
Well, I'll do a double answer. I'll do nostalgic and I'll do nostalgic with value. Nostalgic is going to be the Amazing Spider-Man 317, the Hobgoblin Green Goblin cover, because when I was collecting books as a kid, that was the first time I had bought a high value comic that was in great condition, and so like that means a lot.
What is that?
I think it's 317 or 318. It's the Hobgoblin and Green Goblin cover.
It's gotta be 318 because 317 is the one that's like all the.
Oh yeah. You're right. It's 318, and but if we're going nostalgic and value, it's going to be my Amazing Spider-Man 300 because the copy that's in my PC is the copy that I've owned my entire life, and it is in beautiful condition, and it's in newsstand, I believe. So yeah, like because like I mean like the Albedo 2 is great, and like I'll probably never see one again, but it's been in my life for 24 hours. You know
a book I also really like too is the Frank Miller Wolverine #1 book.
Oh yeah,
that was a book I wanted as a kid forever. Like that book, when I would walk into a comic book shop and I had like my mom would give me like $5 to spend on comics. You get $5, you can buy 5 books basically. I remember I like Wolverine so much. And that book was always on the wall, and it was always like whatever $60. And I'm like, God, that's like $1 billion. Like how am I going to get that? And I bought it a few years ago, and like I'm like, I felt like, oh, I'm an adult. I can do these things now. I can buy all the things I wanted as a kid and didn't have. So that's a book I kind of leave out on my wall because like it was the one that always just like I stared at in comic book shops.
Yeah,
that was. I just love that.
It's funny because I didn't own that book until I was a little bit older. But Wolverine #1, the 1988 series, like that was the same for me. That was the first book that I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to start this series at the beginning, and it's so cool. And yeah, I mean, I think that anybody that's our age group, like in the 40s, Wolverine was what like what new comic or newish comic that we all fell in love with, because he was iconic in every way. Like that, the limited series, the 181, like seeing that on a shop on the wall, uh, or the number one. I think it was just, yeah, and yeah, and then there's one other book that I'm not allowed to sell, even if I had to sell everything, and that's my buddy Joe Benitez sketched me as a Jewish Wolverine. And that's like it's on a sketch cover for a book, so I'm not allowed to.
Is it on a Wolverine sketch cover?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And then Scott McKean said 238, ASM 238, first Hobgoblin. That's
Right.
another one of those. It's funny because I wasn't a Spider-Man fan until McFarlane. I mean, granted, that was when I was 8, but like, I don't think I ever went back and looked at old Amazing Spider-Man, and besides knowing the covers for 15, AF 15, and number 1 and stuff. And Spider said, I bought X-Men 94 to 101, just stopped reading X-Men because Wolverine wasn't in there enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't really feature him until like there was, Byrne, but like Wolverine for me, and I'm sure for you, is like Silvestri and Lee X-Men run.
Yeah, I think the first Wolverine book I bought was number 10, the Sabretooth one. That might have been one of the comics I ever bought. I think it was like 88 or 89 when that came out. And I remember reading that going like, wow, like this is really violent. Like because him and Sabretooth like fight like crazy in that book,
Yeah.
It's going like, this is really cool. This is the kind of stuff I like. And that kind of like just like got me into it.
Yeah, I mean, I cherished trying to get that book, and I finally got like a beat up copy when I was younger. But it's funny how the paradigm or the shift in that was like number 1 wasn't worth as much as 10, and now 10 isn't worth as much as 8, and 8's the expensive book from the first Wolverine or from the ongoing series.
Because 10, like it was the reveal was like Sabretooth was his dad, right? Wasn't that
something like that? Yeah, it was something that it wasn't true, whatever it was.
Yeah, and that Hulk one's cool too. It's I think they go to Japan in that one, right? Or
it's Madripoor.
That's what it is, right? Yeah.
Which I thought that was a real place when I was a kid. It's not.
I thought Wolverine was real when I was a kid.
And like I said, if anybody has any questions, throw them in the trash. No, put them in the comments below. Let's we're gonna show another clip of I can't. I'm not even gonna preface it. I'm just gonna show it.
Uh-oh.
Hey Dave, I'm in the woods. Not really sure how I got here. When you get a chance, can you like come find me? It's getting dark soon.
I don't know. You have good comedic timing.
I was lost in the woods there. Thanks for finding me. I was only out there for a few days, so thanks for coming to help me. I mean, the basket you brought of food was really like helpful.
I try. Jim said he's a bit older than both of us, but ages put together. His is Superman 76, where Superman and Batman learn each other's identity. So that's the book he would never be able to get rid of. Yeah, that is definitely a bit older than both of us. But like that's the thing. Like you grew up, I know Jim is my dad's age. So when you grow up in that time, it's like a big thing like that is such a huge deal in comics, because like the storylines weren't as intricate. So when you throw in something that's like super important, like secret identity of the 2 most popular comic book characters, it's a big deal.
Yeah. And that's really cool. Like everyone has like their book, and it's not always about value. It's about like how it's a memory they had that spoke to them. It's like not just the comic, but it's like where you were when you were reading it, who was in your life at the time, like all these things. And it's what nostalgia is. And I feel like we can all kind of trace it back to a book or two where like that got us in the comics, that we just remember, the book that we read over and over again, And that's what's so cool about comics, is like there's something for everybody,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, art is a beautiful thing in that way, whether it's music or movies or comics. It's like something visual that audible that you can put to a memory, and it's funny because like with I mean nostalgia for me in comics, it's weird because the one thing I kept in all of the moves I did and all the times I saw my collection, I kept that McFarlane box. So like I never had to be like, oh man, I missed those books because they were always in my closet.
Yeah.
But since but now this whole West Coast Avengers thing, and like even the selling part of it aside, like you were saying, like how can we obtain these books and not like pay out the ass? And it's like you get a bunch of these books, and then like you find a bunch of stuff for $1 or whatever, and then like if you don't want them, you just sell them, and then you put that money towards the big book that you want.
Right.
But it's kind of like how when I went to Escapist Comics with you, and I bought the 49 and the 52 and the Fantastic Four 49 and 52. That was like paid for with money that I had made from selling books that I had found.
Yeah, like my dad says, you're playing with house money at that time, so it's not like you're using like your rent money or whatever to buy comics. You're just like,
Right.
The money I buy comics, I sell it, and it just funds this vicious cycle.
Yeah. So why don't we move into well, if anybody has any other questions, please throw them in. We both got some books this weekend. Like I bought a partial collection, and then I went to a garage sale yesterday. And the garage sale was 50-cent books, but then I found something that wasn't 50 cents, and I wasn't trying to be a scumbag about it. So I'll just show off the 50-cent books first, because see, Todd, you buy Todd.
Yeah.
I got a stack of just like Marvel Tales. They're all newsstands. They're all really good condition. A couple Amazing Spider-Mans. There was no.
I like that one. I like that.
Yeah.
The X-Men one. Yeah.
Yeah, he does those 2 covers in a row with the classic team and the newer team.
That's a cool one.
Fantastic. And Chameleon issue, and then part of the assassination plot. So those were 50 cents a piece, and got a Ghost Rider one. Oh,
that's a cool book.
Oh, God. Maddie's calling me because he's not watching this live. Anyway, Ghost Rider #1, and then this was also 50 cents. Yeah, great. My favorite Eric Larson cover, for sure.
Yeah, I like the one with the reflection in the eyes too.
It's funny. I go back and
they're both awesome. I mean, they're like that run is. I like Eric Larson's art. I know a lot of people don't, but I think he's awesome.
I totally do. This was another 50-cent book, First Jubilee.
Jubilee, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then so I pulled out a book that was not supposed to be in there, and I looked at the guy because he was next to me, the guy who was running the garage sale. I'm like, this isn't supposed to be in there, is it? So it was a New Mutants 98, and I was just trying to be honest, and he appreciated it, and he's like, I missed that. And so we worked it out, and he also his sister-in-law, whose comic books they were, took 4 or 5 books out, and this was one of them, a New Mutants 87. So I bought both of these and that stack of books for $300.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Not bad.
So yeah, that was the garage sale. What did you I showed the Albedo, so you already saw this, but we'll talk about that again.
I didn't bring all the books. I thought I did. I think I left some at home. I just grabbed what was on my shelf. But I found I'll show you what I found, and I'll tell you what I left at home. I'll tell you what I found actually. I found a ASM 299, which is like the first what's it called?
First Venom.
First Venom cameo. I mean, he's pretty prominent on the last page. I found one of those. It's in really, really good shape. I mean, it's like a 9 something, And I found an Iron Fist #1, like the miniseries #1. So I got that. But even cooler, I found an Iron Fist, the first Iron Fist, Marvel Premiere. I got some glare here. I'm trying to figure out how to hold this thing. And this isn't really good. I mean, for like an older book, it does have some spine ticks on it like that, but it was just kind of cool to find. I've never wasn't expecting to see that in there. One of my favorite.
Hell yeah.
This is like, I don't know, one of my top Bernie Wrightson covers. It's just like definitely my favorite of his from this run. Super cool. This was I already had this book, but this one's like mint. I mean, it's insane. Like there's no spine tick on. The corners are incredible. So I'm like, I'll buy it. And I actually gave my brother my other copy of it. And speaking of my brother, I don't know much about Daredevil. I never read Daredevil, so I don't know
Yeah.
those keys, but I'm flipping through books and I pull this one and my brother's just like, yeah, buy that one. And then it's the first Frank Miller on Daredevil. So didn't know that. He kind of like, gave me the go ahead, gave me the green light to get.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's funny about your Swamp Thing. I just completed the Bernie Wrightson run, the 1 through 10.
Oh, did
and,
you?
And I read it.
Oh, is it good?
It's great. Like it has its like hokiness of a book that's 50 years old, but for a book that's 50 years old, like I felt like it felt familiar to me, and I think that's because like you, we're both fans of the horror genre, and so the art is great, but the story actually starts to get a lot better, and it's hilarious because over the course of those 10 issues, and the first of the 10 issues, he goes around the entire world Swamp Thing. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm currently reading the Alan Moore Swamp Thing, and it's so good. It's so good. I'm slowly getting through it, but like it's it's amazing. He wrote it I think a little bit before Watchmen or something.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I also found a Moon Knight #1. This is obviously not his first appearance, but it's the series,
the first series.
Yeah. Super high. This is a book I wanted for a while, but like
hold on. Who?
Yeah.
Who?
Sienkiewicz.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a book I wanted for a while, but like it was that bubble on this book was so high. I mean, this book was really a bit. And I did that thing where earlier I said like just be patient. I'll find it. It'll come my way. So those are the books I got this weekend. So
and just to answer Mike, the Daredevil it's the first Miller on the Daredevil title, even though the first time he drew Daredevil was in Spectacular Spidey.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I found this weekend. So yeah, I got some good stuff.
I got that that I don't know if you watched my video today. If you guys haven't watched, you guys don't know, I have a YouTube episode that drops every Sunday. But the video that I premiered today is I found an entire run of Moon Knight 1 through 38 for $1 a piece.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that was nice. I mean, I have most of the covers that I want on that. Like I don't need to own the whole run, but I want to own all of the great Sienkiewicz covers. All the black and white ones are insane.
Yeah,
just
the black
insane.
one with like the wolf and some of the best covers for sure.
I would put his Moon Knight run cover wise neck and neck with McFarlane's ASM run. Like just covers.
Yeah, I think I like Sienkiewicz's style a little more because it is like kind of like shaky weirdness, and I've always just been more into that. But like, I mean, they're both like so strong. You can like them for different reasons, obviously.
Yeah, right. Like I'm not comparing them. I'm just saying for my taste, like because I can't think of another run that like exemplifies like just the craziest covers and not that the McFarlane Spider-Man are crazy, but like they're all iconic. And you look at that Sienkiewicz run in 38 issues, they're mostly all iconic.
Yeah.
You
can almost compare it to like other runs that Sienkiewicz did, like the Electra covers.
Those are wild.
One of those is incredible, and like there's 8 of them, and like they're just like each one can stand alone on its own. It's like arguably the best of that series.
Yeah. And it's funny. I just started reading that on my plane right back from New York because I got the trade. Like I have this weird thing where like if I don't have like the best format to read it in, I don't want to read it, and I wanted to read that in the original. I have all the original issues, but I'm not going to bring those on the plane. It's a weird story. Let me just say that. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but it's beautiful. Hush, iconic. Hush has for Jim Lee.
That's the Jim Lee Batman. Hush
run? I think that's his best cover run for sure, and definitely up there in at least modern times. Because every cover is just a grand slam. So the last time.
Spider's Comics makes a really good point. Like one thing I like to do is like you look back on how artists just got better and better and better. Even like Barry Windsor Smith. If you look at his old stuff he did, like in X-Men, like the old book, he was like trying to be a little like Kirby-esque or something like that, and then like you can just see him find his own style and then just dominate that style,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just because like he becomes a better and better draftsman as he gets older. He understands the medium a little more, and that goes with all these comic artists. Like you can look at anyone's work and just like watch it just get so like you can just watch it evolve. It's
And
so
then you can watch it devolve.
sometimes
There's
Yeah.
some artists that you just look, you're like, I mean, icon, like beyond icon Neil Adams, but like, there was a point where his art peaked, and then his art just, but
I think that comes with age sometimes. Like
For
your
sure.
hand might get a little shakier and just like a lot of things, and that's understandable. It's still his, and even if it is devolving, it's evolving in a way that only he can do it. So it's still kind
Right.
of it's an interesting evolution no matter what.
Yeah. Whose art, and it just kind of goes in with like what I was about to show. I've been getting a little bit more into Bruce Timm and his artwork, and his everything that he's added to the medium of not just comics but animation, and so like you look at his art now and you look at his art 20 years ago, like he peaked and he's just going. He has not, like, there has been no change. Like he goes and he's amazing, and like his amazing is just continued. But along with that collection that I got this weekend, one of the last books that I found was another one of these.
Jesus, you found like 3 of those things now, right?
This is my fourth. Batman Adventures number 12, and the first appearance of Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be my second 9/8, because this has 2 slight little dents on it that I'll get pressed out. And wild.
That's crazy. That's one of those books that like it's kind of unassuming. If you don't know comics, you can totally mistake it for like a kid's book or something.
Mhm.
So you found one like in a comic book shop, like in a dollar bin, right?
It was a video game shop that had a box of books. Yeah. And then 2 at that estate sale last year, and I handed one to Joe. I was like, Joe, you need to buy this. Like, you want one of these. And then it's funny because he was with me when we looked at this collection the second time. I had him come with me the second time. And we'd opened up a tub, and I had seen a Batman Adventure 7 in one of the comic boxes. And we opened up the tub looking for magazines, and there was a Batman Adventures number 1. And I just said to Joe, I said, it's going to be in there. And sure enough, it was. But that's the thing. Like, you had said, I mean, our motto that we always say to people and to each other is,
the books are out there, you know?
Yeah.
And they are like, and you just gotta be, it's that plus patience, like that Moon Knight book, for example. Like I could go buy that book any comic book shop, anywhere. But I want to find it at a price that's like not like this, what I kind of feels like inflated. So if I just wait, patient, look for it, I'll find it, and same with you. It's just like, you got to have that patience though,
Right. And that's the thing. And it's like, I obviously don't have an unlimited source of money, but buying these collections at a decent price and getting a lot of big books in these collections gives me the leeway to charge, less, not even less than a comic book shop, because that's not even where I am, because I don't have a shop. But like, yeah, it just gives me that leeway to charge a little bit less so that people feel like they're getting a deal, because that's what we want. I mean, like, me and you started doing this like hardcore looking for books because we didn't want to pay like exorbitant amount of prices, but also because we like Indiana Jones. We like treasure. We like treasure hunting.
Dude, treasure hunting's fun, man. It's so fun going out there. Like even the days where like I whiff and I don't buy anything, it's still fun. Like, I mean, I like going out to these flea markets and like walking around and like looking for stuff and just like the adventure of it. And like, out here, like, the Alameda flea market and other places, just is so nice. You can like walk around like for a couple of miles and just like see cool stuff,
Yeah.
Super fun.
It's fulfilling. It's fulfilling in a way that I can't even explain. Like, and people know this. Like, you go record digging, it's the same thing. You go, looking for, you open packs of baseball cards and stuff. It's the same thing. Mike asked, "What book? What book is this? Would you buy?" What I think what
What
he
book
meant to
would
say.
you buy at a shop and give up searching for?
Well, I mean, I bought the Fantastic 449 because just wanted to, I had the opportunity to buy a nice copy. I would have had another one if I didn't. It would have been lower grade, but I think I think it would be Hulk 181.
Yeah,
Maybe
because
not,
that one,
but
that they're out there, but like that's a one that everyone knows, like
yeah,
not everyone, but like that's a really really hard one to find,
right, right.
Um,
What
for
about you?
me, there have been a couple times where like I've almost come close to buying a Silver Surfer 1 because I'm trying to get the whole run, and that's like the last book I need. But
Uh-huh.
I still I'm like I still go no, like I'm gonna find it. I will find it. It's out there. I will get it somehow for not a comic book price. The other book I really want. I can't remember if it's a Volter Horror or a Tales from the Crypt. It's the Graham Ingalls one with the 3 zombie heads on it.
Yeah, are they the ones on? Are they on Pikes? No, that's
No, it's like these 3 zombie heads, and like, it's one after the other, and it's such a cool book. And Bronze Age Batcave had one, and it was like really low grade for like $1,000, and I'm like, man, that'd be cool to have, but that's one I hope to find somehow somewhere. But
yeah. Oh, sorry. I was thinking about something else. I guess there's one other book I might. It depends on the price. I guess there's 2 other books, and they're more modern books. There's the Spider-Man 1 Platinum Edition, the McFarlane #1, because they were only sold 1 per store, and it was like a thank you incentive. So they're expensive. Or the Amazing Spider-Man 300 Chromium, which is also a very hard book to find. And Matt Ritchie has, but he hasn't traded it to me yet.
So the book I'm thinking of, I just looked up. It's The Haunt of Fear #17.
Okay.
If you look up that is like, I love that cover so much. It's so cool. It's so weird. I love it. That's the one that like I would be tempted to actually buy.
Haunt of Fear. Okay. Well, I'll let you know if I ever see it. By the way, if anybody's, this is so besides the point, but if anybody out there is interested in Marvel cards, I will be on Whatnot. Whoa. I will be on. It's okay. I'll be on Whatnot tonight at 7:45, doing a Marvel card show. I'm sure it's going to go horribly because Whatnot is not. It's just not. But yeah. And then so I'll just show it off again for anybody. I got the Copper Grail I've been trying to find for a while this weekend. Albedo #2. The first appearance of Usagi Yojimbo. And so it was with that collection. That was part of the collection that I bought, and one of the reasons why I spent the money I did. But I also got another copy of Usagi 1.
Another copy?
Yeah, I actually have one already.
Yeah.
But I will probably be selling my other copy this coming Wednesday because this is a higher grade. But yeah, I got this. I got the #1 somewhere at like wasn't a garage sale, but might have been a flea market. Yeah, so if anybody else has any general questions for us, please feel free. We'll probably go another couple minutes, but I do want to do a giveaway. Should I do a trivia question or should I just do a regular giveaway?
How many people are in the room? I'm trying to.
There's nine people in the room. Well, I guess there's probably 8 because you're probably on the counter for 1.
I'm not in it. I clicked off by accident.
Oh, okay. I could do a trivia question.
Yeah, do a trivia question. Do you have a good one off the top of your head?
No, but I can think of one real quick.
Here, I want to show you some things I bought real quickly at Comic-Con. So
Sure.
I went to Comic-Con in San Diego. I go every year. I've been going for like 21 years now, I think. I go as an exhibitor. I show off my work there. I sell it, all that kind of stuff. But when I have the time, I like to walk around and like buy stuff and look at stuff and kind of like, just look at weird art. And the thing that I've always liked, whether I've been in or out of comics, I always love visiting the small press area.
Right.
For those of you who don't know, the small press area is in the back of a Comic-Con, and it's artists, individuals who are making their own stuff. It's not superhero stuff. It's like weird art. It's lots of zine. It's very zine heavy. they encourage people to bring like this a zine, which is basically like you go to a place like FedEx or a Copy Mart, and you just like make a book and staple it together. It's usually an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper folded in half, and that's what makes your zine. And I love that kind of stuff. And that's what I spend like a lot of money on. So like things I buy out there at these shows, like these like little put together books that are just like really cool art, and it's just like the most bizarre kind of like fun stuff ever, where it's like sketches and writings and everything. Like Allison Summers is like one of my favorite artists, and then you find weird stuff.
I
like
know Allison.
Allison Summers, yeah. You find like books that people make, and this is Jaws of the Dead. It's zombie Jesus versus Jaws of the Dead. It's zombie Jesus is like this character that's reoccurring like in these stories, and he fights this Jaws, and this Jaws is actually a zombie Jaws. So it's really cool, really weird. Like, and the thing about small press is like you find the coolest stuff there. Like it's just people making books, 50 copies, 100 copies.
Yeah.
And it's the most bizarre stuff, awesome artists like Wayshack, who puts out like
hell yeah.
Wayshack works in comics, but he also makes like these sketchbooks that are just like phenomenal, So that's the kind of stuff I'm buying at like comic conventions and stuff. Whenever I get the chances, I go pretty zine heavy when I go to places.
That's like when I go to Floating World in Portland, I always go zine heavy.
They have a really, really good collection of like local artists and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Jim
Healy asked, imagine your second year. What would it be like? What would your second anniversary be looking back upon? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. This is, we're in a year, and in that time, I've got a weekly show, and then I've got a weekly claim sale, and the collections I've been getting in have been heavier, and I'm starting to buy less of the stuff I was buying and buy, smarter. So I don't know, Jim. I mean, year 2 will definitely feature a highlighted episode of a road trip to Idaho.
Yeah, it's funny you say buying smarter. Like, I've been doing that. I've been being a little more picky with what I buy, because I just kind of generally sell less online.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I don't want to have like all these comics. I want to just like get the ones I want. Like, I remember when you and I went to the Alameda Flea Market, we came across like that ASM 316, and it wasn't in great shape. We just left it. Someone else can buy it, So it's just like, don't need it. It's fine. Someone else can get it. So being a little more picky, I think, is my kind of like, mantra also.
Yeah. I have to do a very quick piece of addition, and then I've come up with a trivia question.
I'm trying to turn my light. I think I'm losing light in here. Let me see what I can do real quick.
Okay. All right. 20. All right.
A little sharper.
Yeah, definitely. Will North Idaho be ready for the two of us? We'll find out. It's a lot of Dave. It's a lot of Dave. Okay, let's just do this quick trivia question. I'm going to give away, as promised, a Web of Spider-Man number 26. Yes, Dave's wall is completely...
Oh, that's another thing I have a problem. I buy tons and tons of original art. Like, a lot of this...
It's not a problem.
I'm in my studio right now, and I have like original art like on all of this wall. Some of it's prints, some of it's my stuff, but a lot of it's like art I get at conventions, art shows, and stuff like that. I have a lot at home too, but I love to just buy and support and display original art.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's a fun collection to have.
Oh God, I'm having a horrible time trying to do some addition in my head, but I'm gonna give away this amazing Web of Spider-Man number 26. Great classic Charles Best cover, black costume. But the cool thing about this is it's a Mark Jewler variant. Ooh. And I thought it would be fun to give away this Mark Jewler variant. Because I just came up with this question in my head. You are also, well, we can't have you be entered to win because
I have that comic. It's not a Mark Jewler's, but I will graciously bow out of the competition if I do know it.
I have to fact check something very quickly. It's just I don't want to be wrong.
Right? Yeah. I think Web of Spider-Man has some of the best black suit covers though. I like
Oh,
the black.
yeah.
I love the black suit Spidey stuff, and I say Web of Spider-Man is pretty strong with all those, especially when he's like, I forget what number it is, when he's like coming out of the grave, you know.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I don't remember what number that is, like 30 something.
It's such a great run.
Issue
I'm
1
just
is super cool too.
okay. It's going to be kind of a trick question. That's all I'm going to say. You can get it within one. You can get it within one. How many Amazing Spider-Man books is Todd McFarlane's art featured in? And I will say this.
In or on? Like the cover or in?
In. And I will say this. Variant covers do not count. It could be a front cover or it could be interior, but it does not count if it's a variant. It has to be within the parameters of his time in Marvel.
I mean, I don't want someone else to get it, but I can make a guess. I could guess. No? Okay.
All right. And if this doesn't work, I can also just do the regular giveaway tool.
Yeah.
I just have to be right about the number.
How are you checking it?
With my head.
Yeah. Are you looking at it and going, okay, that one. All
right. So you can only guess once, and that's it. So the closest person, we'll just do a regular giveaway.
I'll write down mine. I'll write down my number first.
All right, write down your number. Yeah.
Okay, I'll write down my number. Okay. So I'll show it after, but I think.
No, show it, because nobody got it right.
Oh, I was gonna say 32.
Damn, you're right on the money.
Really?
So, okay, 298 through 326. So that's 26 plus 2, 3. God, see, I can't do the math. Anyway, he does 320. He does 298 to 326. Then he does 328, and he calls. That's it. Issue 350 features a pinup by McFarlane and Larson.
Huh. Okay. I was just I thought it was like around 30, because I know it started at 298 and I know it went around the 320, the high 320s. So that was a shot in the dark.
See, and that's the thing. It's I'm just gonna do a regular giveaway. How about that?
Well, you can give it to the next closest person. Who's that?
You'd be your brother.
Oh God. Rigged, totally rigged.
He got it right, actually. He got it right. So your brother does win it.
Oh, it's 30?
It's 30.
Oh.
It's 30. Look, it's not rigged because I just thought of the question. Y'all should have known. Anyway, you know what, though? How about this? I got 2 of Dave's prints, a Joker and a Batman.
Yeah.
They're both signed.
By
Dave.
who?
By some guy named Dave. And so what I'll do,
I'll have to verify that.
yeah, we'll get Dave to do a certificate of authenticity for it. But what I'll do is I'm going to use the StreamYard tool to give it away, and the hashtag will be DAVES, Daves. All right, so throw your hashtag in there, Daves, and I'll ship these to you and you'll have them. But meanwhile, while we do that, let's just show one more little bit.
I don't have any coins, but I do have a comic to throw in the wishing well.
Never throw a comic in the wishing well.
Oops. Sorry. I just had to. All right, so we've got how many entries do we have so far? We've got 14 people in the room. We have 7 entries. Hashtag Daves. I'm going to give away this and this. You'll just have to hit me up on Instagram. If we don't normally communicate, you could just hit me up at West Coast Davengers on Instagram, and I will.
I have a cool story. So at Comic-Con, I brought like a bunch of sketch covers. I brought like 4 or 5 of them, and someone came by my booth and bought one. but they brought a CBC. Is it CBCS?
Yeah.
They brought a CBCS representative over to witness me handing the comic to the guy, so they can verify it as like a signature label.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
I thought it was cool. I never had that happen to me before, but yeah, the guy's gonna get it slabbed, and I told him to send me what the grade is, because when I paint on those covers, like I really mess them up. I use acrylic paints and I kind of like scrub on them and stuff. So I'm curious, like what the grading company would like ding for certain things like that. Like is it really just like a tree that's like an art panel, or is it just like, oh, it has to be super pristine?
Right. Yeah, I don't know how they would do that with the paint. By the way, guys, put in the hashtag Daves, and I will give both of these away. And that was not in Emeryville. That was in Walnut Creek, that fountain. One last little clip. We'll do the giveaway and we'll call it a night. I got a Whatnot stream and Dave's got shit to do. So here, let's do this. Let's
This
show
is a comic
this.
book.
Wait, I gotta start.
Secret Wars 2, number 4.
It's a secret. If you tell anybody, I'll kill ya.
And that was that was from the first episode we shot.
That was the first episode. I do remember. I do remember that. Yeah. That was right over there.
Yeah, that's right. Matty Marlin finally joining in, realizing that he's been fooling himself, thinking that I'm you and you're me. There's Dave. There he
It's
is.
so funny. I watch your streams and I haven't been on in so long. You're like, oh yeah, there's another Dave, and everyone's like, no, there's not. This is like some Tyler Durden shit where you have like another personality you built, and good for you. Like, watch yourself out there. Like.
Actually, my other personality, we all know his name. His name is Comic Tim, but he's on vacation right now. Okay, guys, I'm going to do this drawing. I've got 9 entries for these free prints signed by that guy. Let's get a couple more entries, give it away. This is a paradox. So let's give it away now. One more hashtag. Come on, 9 people. Let's go. You can enter too, Dave. You can win your own print.
No, I don't want to. I already have a couple of those.
I know. All right, here we go. All right, we'll give it 10, 9. Hashtag Dave's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, here we go. 2 prints, Batman and the Joker, going to one person. Who's going to win it? And it's going to be Josh Pinate. Joshua. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, those will be, I'll get those out to you. I got your address. I know where you live. So last time I was at, that's right. Last time, yes. Well, I am not him and he's not me, but we are the same. Anyway, thank you eternally, Dave, for being part of this and helping me start this, and obviously for the years and years of friendship.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. I really enjoy the comic trips we have, and I look forward to them all the time. It's like a nice little vacation where we score cool books and get to drive around and see cool stuff and meet cool people.
Yeah, and then we'll resume our road tripping in October. So you guys, we're going to have fun. Idaho. And thanks to everybody for watching. He's not East Coast Dave. He lives in California. I'm from the East Coast.
West Coast Dave also.
Yeah. Thank you for everybody watching. Smash the like button. Watch the episode that dropped today. It's a fun one with a big grail and a lot of digging. And I'll be on Whatnot tonight selling Marvel cards. So please come by and make sure I don't fail at that either, because it's Whatnot and it's just not. And you can see Dave's store is the links down below, and you can buy original art and prints and stuff.
Yeah, I don't post much on my Instagram, but that's where you can see a lot of my stuff. It's just my name, Dave Correa, on Instagram, and I have lots of sculptures and art and fun stuff. And comics inspired me. Like I was since a kid, like the art always spoke to me more than the stories, and I've always been just attracted to the art, and I enjoy comics because of that.
Me too, actually. But all right, well, thank you everybody for joining on the West Coast Avengers. He never sings it, but that's okay.
I can't sing. You had the beautiful voice.
All right. Well, I'll see you. See you in anniversary 2, and not before. I mean, I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Cool. I mean, I'll see you.
All right. Bye, everybody.